I'll listen to music, and I usually don't go to sleep until about 2 a.m. So I'm sleeping about 4 hours a night, waking up super early to start it over. Then on the weekends, when we get out on a Friday evening, I go home, I have dinner, I go to sleep. All day Saturday and all day Sunday are spent basically fleshing out my tweets and filling in the gaps between them with details I've written in my notebook and recollections I have about certain moments. I try to provide inflection and detail in the things that were said in court, and that takes me all weekend. I have to leave Sunday evening to come back up here. My house is about 3 hours south of where I'm staying, and so I try to leave before it gets dark so I can get up here, and I've almost never done it. Usually at home, finishing up recording the episode and then editing that recording and getting it up online by about 9 or 10 p.m. So I get on the road about 11. I get up here about 1:30 or 2.
Gotcha. And so that sounds like a pretty rigorous work week that you've been doing basically 24/7. How has that affected you, or how have you been kind of navigating that emotionally and just with your well-being?
Probably just a lot of bottling up my feelings, not really dealing with it in the moment. I'm expecting that after everything is wrapped up, I'll have some time to sit and think about everything that's happened, but right now it's just a matter of keeping on that grind. So when we do have dark days, like when I tweet that there's a dark day coming up, I notice a lot of people comment that they're really disappointed or that this feels like it's dragging so much. But as somebody who's in the courtroom, that one dark day is like everything to us, and I think the jurors as well. I think they really need those brain breaks, and it really isn't a vacation because there's barely time to get done what I need to get done in a normal week. So sometimes a dark day is just enough time to really stretch my legs and type everything I'm thinking, as opposed to truncating it into a weekend episode.
Yeah. And so what have been some things or reflections that you've been thinking about in this moment where the witness testimony is done and jurors are coming to whatever resolution this might be?
This is the first trial I've ever sat through, so this is really my first experience with something like this. I don't know what to expect. I know what I know from making a documentary about this that I've been working on for over 4 years now, so I know the information I know, but what was able to enter in court legally is limited to what they're able to get across legally through witness testimony and actual evidence. So I know what I've sat through, and I know watching the jurors' reactions and seeing how each side presented their case, I feel pretty confidently that they did everything they could. I feel like they put on a good case. I felt like especially the prosecution's rebuttal at the end of closing arguments was very strong and kind of left the jurors with this it leaves little room for reasonable doubt, in my opinion. Of course, they're human beings, they're 12 different personalities, and you never know when you're going to get somebody in there who, because it's a no-body homicide, just can't morally convict somebody without knowing 100% what happened, and you never know when you're going to get that. So I'm hopeful, I'm cautiously optimistic, as I've been saying for several years now. I feel good, but I'm also guarded.
Yeah, can you talk about those moments where you realized, you've been covering this case where when you first went into it, there was no resolution and maybe seemingly no hope for one, and now you're sitting in there, and right now there might be.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's going, can you maybe walk us through one of those moments where you've experienced that?
Yeah, it's tough because it kind of pops up at random times. Sometimes I'm sitting in the courtroom and I'm so busy scribbling and trying to keep up with what everyone's saying that that's all I can focus on. And then there's other times where just a flash in the moment where I'm like, whoa, we're really sitting here and we're all here in this room together. These people are in front of the audience. They're defendants now. I didn't see that happening. I didn't see that as a realistic conclusion to when I started doing the podcast and all that. So there's been moments where it's just hard to take in everything that's going on. There's been names that I've heard about and I've read about, but I haven't actually seen them in the flesh until they took the stand. So that's been really interesting. And then because of the gag order, they can't talk to me. They can't say hello or anything. And so there's some tension. I hope this person will talk to me eventually. I hope they're okay with the role that I've done here. It's actually kind of a relief sometimes when the defense brings me up to a witness who I haven't really gotten a chance to converse with, because when they talk about my podcast, you can sort of get a sense of how they feel about what I've done, and I feel like it's been overwhelmingly positive and a lot of approval. There's only been one witness where it was kind of iffy about how they felt about their experience, and so overwhelmingly it felt like people are okay with it.
Your relationship with the Smart family, obviously you guys got pretty close. And so can you kind of explain how you've been navigating that and then what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, it's been difficult. I did, over the last couple of years, get to know the Smart family. Once the documentary was sort of complete, I thought it was only going to be 6 episodes, and so once it finished airing, I think they got a sense of really who I was and why I had attempted to do this documentary. We got to know each other. We've stayed in touch up until the gag order was issued, and then past that point, it's been like, well, I can't say hi to them. I can't discuss the case, obviously, but it feels like the restrictions are very, very tight in this case, where it's like you shouldn't even make eye contact with them. You should not say hello. You shouldn't do anything that could be perceived as an impropriety in any way. So it's really tough seeing them every day in the courthouse, but not being able to acknowledge their presence, and then leaving and heading in opposite directions. I would love to be getting dinner with them and helping them decompress and talking about some of their feelings, but we haven't been able to do any of that. So I'm most looking forward to the resolution of this trial, that I can finally talk to my friends again.
Is there anything, what's next for you after this is done? Like, what is your plan after there's a resolution and there's no more podcast episodes to be made at this moment?
Right now, the plan is that I'm going to do one final episode of this People versus Flores installment I've been doing, where I'll cover the closing arguments, the verdicts, and then hopefully interview some jurors, some people close to the case who maybe can reflect on their experience of the last few years and what it's been like. And that, for me, is going to be kind of a wrap on this case, I think. I don't know that it's necessary to delve into any other issues, especially depending on how the verdicts come back. And so I'm just looking forward to getting a verdict and going home and just kind of sinking back into a quiet life for a long time. I don't like being in the spotlight. I don't like doing interviews. Sorry. But like, typically this is not my personality. Like, I'm a very shy, quiet person, and I'm really looking forward to embracing that again.